Christianity, like many religions, can be a wonderful way for people to find a community and a set of beliefs which they might use to guide their lives in a productive and kind manner. These people must have missed that part of the sermon. These are the top 10 evil people who claimed to have seen Jesus. And hey, if you know of an evil person who belongs on this list, let us know in the comments below. Number 10. Myung Moon. Getting to the crazes here, and this one's a doozy. Myung Moon was originally born in North Korea, and he escaped to South Korea during the Korean War. A devout Christian, Moon would establish the Unification Church in Seoul, and this is where it gets a little messy. To start, Moon claims that Jesus came to him when he was 15 and commanded that he become a parent of all humanity. From there, he'd move to the US, further increasing his influence and embroilment in politics as he publicly ordered members to support Nixon during Watergate. This move gave the church national attention, and he would use this to continue to push his message that he was the second coming of Christ. Not to mention that he was also extremely open in his homophobia and encouraged acts of violence to be committed against anyone who was LGBTQ. Moon was also convicted of tax fraud in the 80s, and so overall, the Unification Church is just a very contentious organization. Number 9. Pat Robertson. Now, compared to the rest of the list, Patrick is fairly tame, but I would say he's just about as evil as anyone. Founder of the Christian Broadcasting Network, Robertson is one of the most prolific televangelists the world has ever known. Using this as a speaking platform, Pat Robertson's sermons are wild things to watch. He has claimed that many other religions are satanic, claimed that his prayers have deflected hurricanes, and implied that Hurricane Katrina was God's punishment for the United States allowing abortions. He's even claimed that the Haiti earthquake happened due to a curse from a time when the Haitian slaves rose up in revolution against their masters and made a pact with Satan. Not to mention his book, The New World Order, says things that are so deeply anti-Semitic they'd make Kanye blush. Yeah, I guess real good Christian otherwise. 9 out of 10 guy. Number 8. Phelps Sr. I will keep this quick, it's honestly more than he deserves. Phelps worked as a lawyer for a while and was formally disbarred, and he's had about 13 children, several of which have described him to be borderline sociopathic. In 1955, this loser founded the Westboro Baptist Church, one of the scummiest churches in American history. Despite having only roughly around 70 members, the WBC members have been an absolute menace to the surrounding community. They're known to picket the funerals of members of the LGBTQ, as well as veteran and disaster victims. His children are just as bad, excluding the ones that managed to escape, and when Phelps died in 2014, they didn't attend his funeral, and honestly, no one else should have either. Number 7. Paul Jennings Hill. Hill began his life as a troubled child. Undergoing religious conversion, he would study theocracy and get married, becoming a minister for the Presbyterian Church of America. He would continue his work as a minister for about a decade until, after making a number of anti-abortion statements on live television, he was excommunicated and defrocked in 1993 after making a dangerous call to action on live TV, encouraging the attacks on abortion providers under the banner of the Army of God, which we'll get to later. Hill attacked an abortion clinic in Florida, taking the lives of John Britton and James Herman Barrett, as well as wounding June Barrett. He was arrested and represented himself in court, claiming that his actions were made defensively, and he was executed in 2003. Number 6. Michael Bray. Michael Bray was yet another minister who conspired an attack on an abortion clinic. Originally working as a midshipman, he is suspected of founding the Army of God and authoring a number of their books, which contained details for means by which members could carry out their attacks. Despite his arrest in 1985 for the possession of unregistered explosive devices, Bray would only serve 4 years in prison, and his organization would come under investigation from the the FBI. Bray has become a figure who continues to publicly support attacks on abortion centers. Number 5. Saint Augustine of Hippo. I would like to blame this guy for the last 2 entries on this list. One of the more important figures in Christian history, he is responsible for the development of this little thing called the just war theory. As a majority of Christian doctrine is largely pacifistic, with one of the tenets being "thou shalt not kill," it was up to this guy to find a way to justify the countless times this rule has been broken by the disciples of Christ. So I'm just going to quote him here. This was his answer. "They who have waged war in obedience to the divine command have represented in their persons the public justice or the wisdom of government, and in this capacity have put to death wicked men. Such persons have by no means violated the commandment, 'Thou shalt not kill.'" I understand that Augustine may have had his reasons and that he had no idea that people would use his words this way, but nevertheless, he is responsible for basically every single religiously motivated attack by Christians since he stated it. So, screw him. Number 4. David Parker Ray. Not much to say about this guy, and by not much, I mean there's not much I want to or can even say on YouTube. A prolific killer, David Parker Ray is confirmed to have taken the lives of 14 people, though it's suspected that he may have taken 60. Convicted for kidnapping and torture, though strangely not actually killing anyone, Ray was given a sentence of 224 years. Interestingly, after Ray was caught, he supposedly became a born-again Christian, a process which saw him effectively claim to have seen Jesus. As he would die of a heart attack several years later, that did turn out to be true in the end. Number 3. David Koresh. Starting as a born-again member after being convicted of assault, Koresh would join the Davidian Seventh-day Adventist Church, a sect which is fairly well known for its extremism. Koresh would then move to Waco, where he joined the Branch Davidians. He claimed to have been given the gift of prophecy by God, slowly gathering followers, a number of which he would have become members of his harem. Cult politics led to his brief excommunication, but he ultimately returned to power after the death of their leaders. In 1993, he was accused of a number of terrible crimes committed to his wives, and when the FBI came to rescue them, the resulting conflict would live in infamy. The Waco siege lasted for 2 months, with Koresh being executed and the center being burned to the ground, all of the Branch Davidians trapped inside. Number 2. Marshall Herff Applewhite Jr. Okay, here we go. So you may not know exactly who this guy is, but you have definitely heard of his organization, Heaven's Gate. Born the son of a pastor, Applewhite had a background in theater, working as a teacher for the University of Alabama before he was fired for starting a relationship with one of his male students. Divorced by his wife, Applewhite struggled with his sexuality and eventually met with Bonnie Nettles. The two became close friends, eschewing their family and beginning to proselytize a mixture of Christianity and Scientology. Slowly beginning to found their cult, they believed that aliens and angels were one and the same, and they began to grow a following and funds. Nettles would pass at this point, and Applewhite would begin to implement a strict hierarchy within his cult, making a statement about how they would ascend with the aliens or angels to the next level. This all came to a head in 1996 with the approach of the comet Hale-Bopp. Believing this to be an approaching alien ship, in 1997 Applewhite ordered his remaining members to take their lives. Their bodies were found, all wearing the same clothes, all passing the exact same way, with Applewhite being the last to go. Number 1. Jim Jones. We've all probably heard this one, but I'll give you a quick rundown. Jim Jones was a religious leader who founded the People's Temple, a communist sect of the Christian Church. Prophesized to be a great leader at some event somewhere, Jones would begin to cultivate a following, displaying supposed supernatural powers and abilities which were supposedly manifestations of his holiness. He would claim to be the prophet Elijah returned, and was praised for his progressive thinking, winning a Martin Luther King Jr. award for his humanitarianism in 1977. Despite his claims of prophetism and strange behavior, he was generally well liked. Moving the temple to Guyana, he would begin to attack traditional Christianity and fascism around the world. Naming his new home as Jonestown, he began to abuse drugs and implement white knights, which were paranoid defensive strategies against perceived threats. Eventually, he would order the assassination of a visiting congressman. But when the congressman's party survived, he decided that the entire compound would commit an act of mass self-annihilation, every single member of the compound drinking poisoned Kool-Aid, which resulted in the deaths of 909 inhabitants. It is one of the single most terrifying acts ever committed in human history, a strange and evil combination of religion, self-obsession, and fear. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a good one.